Have you ever wondered what's the reality behind reality TV? In this episode, I've got one of the original Real Housewives of Durban from season 1, Kgomotso and Ndungane. On the show today, we discuss legacy, social media, the good and the bad. What a social media backlash looks and feels like, and the toll that it takes emotionally and mentally. Was the show worth it? Did she feel like she made the contribution to society in a positive way that she'd hoped for before signing up for the show? What does a healthy disagreement look like? Tribalism on the show, as well as making a difference and using the platform that gets created from being a reality TV star for good, and how to use that for good and the difficulties that come along with that. My takeaway from the show is be yourself. Be unapologetically yourself. Understand who you are, what you stand for, and then let that drive your decision making, and let that be your compass. Enjoy the show. Without further ado, Kgomotso and Ndungane. Kgomotso and Ndungane, thank you very much for being here. Firstly, the one thing I wanted to run by you, a lot of people call you KG as well. Is it Kgomotso? Is it KG? Does it matter to you?
Yo, it's a lot of things. Yeah. Well, actually, firstly, thanks for having me. So, Kgomotso is a very common name among the Tswana Sotho people. So, a lot of them take the first two letters and they go KG. Some go K, and then the others take the last three letters, which is Tso.
Okay.
Call me Tso. So.
Yeah, that's
there's
interesting.
So, there's KG, there's K.
And you're happy with any one of those?
I'm happy.
Because sometimes people they inherit a nickname, and then you only find out like years later that that person actually doesn't like to be called that name.
Is it?
Yeah. So all my friends call me Sham.
Oh,
By my surname.
Yes.
And for years it used to bother me.
Oh, yeah?
And I always used to introduce myself to new people. Hi, I'm Clinton.
Yes.
And then that would last literally like 5 minutes, and then everybody would call me Sham.
You Shem.
And then now now you just embrace it, eh?
But, like for me, I actually appreciated the nickname more when a lot of people couldn't even pronounce my name, or like a person will make sort of like or they think they're funny or whatever, and they just like, oh, like such a long name, or like, oh my gosh, like, and it's just like, do you actually realize that you are talking to the owner of the name, and
Yes.
you are saying all sorts of things about it?
Yeah.
So I appreciate it more if they can just keep it simple. So, and also because I play golf with a lot of elderly people.
Yes.
Like
A lot of elderly white people, probably too. Yeah.
ladies. So it's always like, oh, how do you even pronounce this name, But, I mean, I give them a bit of credit because, they sort of like almost my late grandmother's age.
Yeah.
So I just say K or KG.
Or KG.
Yeah.
I've had an interesting discussion with your husband about this, because I battled to get the clicks, and I can't even, like, Kosa, like, I know that's wrong.
Yeah.
I know it should be like Kosa.
But there you go.
But
You
it's
can
hard.
say it.
It's different. Like, I've really got to concentrate.
Yes,
and my reasoning with him for it when it comes to names as well is I would rather not do somebody the disservice of mispronouncing their name.
Yeah.
Do you know? So if there's a nickname or an easier way to say it, then I would rather do that, not because I'm looking for the easy way out, but because I don't want to risk offending that person.
Yes,
And then his was the opposite. He was saying that he would rather have somebody try to pronounce his name or anybody's name and then get better at it as you learn. So, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, but Odwa, he just loves complicating every single thing.
Rev.
Reverend.
Yeah.
Reverend, yeah.
So, KG, tell me about your background. Where did you grow up? You've already alluded to your culture. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. So I'm from a small town called Potchefstroom in the northwest. Do you know that?
I've heard of. I
Yeah.
didn't know that you were from Potchefstroom.
Yeah, yeah. I was born there, and so that's where I stayed most of my childhood. And then I moved over to Pretoria because that's where I did my higher education, and then I was in Joburg. Yeah, but my childhood and where I was born is Potchefstroom.
Okay. What did you study?
I studied a BCom IT degree at Pretoria University, and yeah,
Okay.
I loved it. Loved it.
What did you want to be growing up? Like when you were a kid, you know, we've all got these dreams. We dream about what we want to be. What did you want to be?
You know what? Growing up, I was a big dreamer. Hey, and I think because I grew up amongst people who were so successful and like big majority of them as well as educators, you know, so actually not but it was always that thing at home that we all got to be successful, and like for you to be successful you got to have a good education, you got to go to varsity and all of that, and I sort of like lived with those values easily. It came easy for
Yeah.
me, you know, and I always knew that I wanted to do something to do with computers. I loved a lot of these tech guys, you know, like Larry Ellison, who's a big in Oracle, which is what I did, like, you know, as a profession, an Oracle programmer.
So that was a business, and that was based in Pretoria.
Yeah, so that wasn't so Oracle is a software, it's an IT software.
Okay.
So I worked there like as a programmer. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a big ERP system for like big corporate clients, like, you know, your banks, like financial institutions, like big corporate places. Yeah.
Okay. So then, what brought you down to KZN?
So it's just because Ottawa was already playing for the Sharks,
Okay.
and he couldn't be the one to relocate. So someone had to do it. Yeah.
Okay. And did that take some adjusting, being in a new place, KZN, having a well-known husband?
Moving to KZN was kind of like of a hard decision. I mean, I'd already met Ottawa in 2004 while I was in Johannesburg. And he then had to start a new life in KZN like 2005. And I just said, no, but I'm not coming to KZN until like we get married. I've got a life here, I've got an amazing career. You know, I'm making money, I'm making things for myself. I'm building a legacy for myself. And I just thought, no, I'm not gonna come down. However, we will have like, you know, I will come down like sort of every weekend to come and watch your games and stuff. So I commuted, and I came here 2012 after we got married.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was after a very long time. And it was still very difficult. I mean, then we had our own rugby community, I would say.
Yes.
You know, like, so that was fun because every single guy had a girlfriend or a wife, like, so we had our own community, we had our own thing going on. But I think after Ottawa retired, then you sort of like lose that community because everyone goes different places. Most of the guys that he played with when he retired, they moved overseas, for example.
Yeah.
You know, and you start a young family and all of that, and suddenly you find like, oh gosh, who are my people now?
Yes.
You know, so yeah, like, so I would say it's extremely difficult in a sense that it becomes just you and your family because none of our family live in KZN. You know, so.
You spoke about when you were in Pretoria, you were building a legacy. How important is building your own legacy to you?
For me, like building your own legacy as a woman, it's very important, especially like in your younger days, I would say, as you grow older, it's not about you only. So you get to learn that it's never your legacy, but it's actually like you building for those that you're going to leave behind,
Okay.
you know. And then there's different things that are thrown into the pot now. So it's no longer about being, well, for me now, I'll speak for myself. So it's no longer about being this corporate giant who is like, you know, in the boardroom, who's a CEO of like this massive IT business or like a massive entrepreneur or whatever. Like the values change a little bit, and you know they get diluted because now you have children as well, where you've got to put in time with them, you know, and you learn that legacy is actually not about like making money always. Like that's not where the power lies.
No.
So that's like been my personal story. I feel like I've made it in life as a younger person when I was by myself without the children. Like I felt how, you know, I got to experience that and I got fulfilled in that. Now I'm in a different journey where it's all very different, but I'm learning as well. Like it's a new journey that I'm learning and I'm embracing.
Yeah, legacy, I think you're absolutely spot on. I don't think it's got anything to do with material things. I think legacy, for me, what it means is, how do you make people feel when you interact with them?
Yeah.
You know, do you contribute positively to their life? When somebody comes into the gym or I have an interaction with, even if it's somebody that I don't know at a grocery store or whatever, have I left them better than before I interacted with them?
Yeah.
I think that's what legacy means.
Yeah.
Some people have done it successfully because they've had money, but the goal was never money. It was the interaction, leaving people better off than how they found them. That's kind of what it means to me, at least.
Yeah, that is quite big. Although, like, I also find like nowadays it's so difficult because everyone just lives in their own bubble. And it's become even tougher to want to be out there and to be leaving people feeling positive. And because now I just find like you got to be so selective. Like before you could just be somewhere and just speak your heart out and you know like you've left people with a positive vibe, maybe because it's a close circle that know you, and when you say something they know where it's coming from. But I find like nowadays you get scared to actually even share positive stuff or even speak because like people don't know you and they've got, you know, all sorts of ideas or of who you should be or
exactly.
that you'd rather not even say much and like just keep in your bubble and keep in your lane, and in that way you just like guard your space.
Avoid all the controversy and all of that. So let's fast forward. Did you ever think that you'd become famous?
Am I famous?
Well, I think you're very well known. Fame takes different levels, but did you think that you would end up where you are today, like having started on a reality TV show?
I've always known that, I think when growing up, I was always different and I was always known and I was always, you know, like that child.
Yeah.
So I've always known that I'm never going to do anything small. Like there's nothing small about me. Like, you know, that I've always known. I just didn't know like that it would be in a entertainment or pop culture side. That took me by surprise.
Yeah.
Because I've always known that I'll always be big in the corporate space, or in the entrepreneurial space and so forth, which is what I was doing before like Real Housewife. And I've always been successful in everything I do. Like, you know, if I may say so myself, like extremely successful.
Okay.
So yeah, like, so it never caught me by surprise that, oh, like really, you know, I mean, growing up, I grew up like my grandmother was in a township, my parents were in a suburban area. So when I'm in a township, everyone will be like, oh, like that girl, like, yeah, but she doesn't look like us. Is she like Caucasian, like, you know, living in the township? And then when you go that side and you are suddenly like normal, like everyone treats you normal, and then you move to Joburg and then suddenly you see more and more people like you, and you are just like, what were they talking about, you know? So you like, but one thing I know, I've always been in spaces that just draw me out, like that just like, that's Kgomotso, like, you know, even when I walk into a place, I always know, like, something changes. Like, my friends always say, when you walk in a place, sometimes also you have this, like, this face, like, as if, like, you're strict or you go into...
Like, it sets the mood and the vibe of the room.
Yes, you know, it's a, so like, yeah, like, so it's something that never caught me off guard when it happened. Yeah, but just, it's just the industry, I think, is very different from where I thought I'd be famous in, you know. I've always been a person who wanted to be a CEO, like, you know, or like a member of a board, or that's where I've always seen myself, like your Steve Jobs. That's the names that I wanted earlier, like a Steve Jobs, and I always saw myself in those spaces.
Like a pioneer. A pioneer, leader of industry.
Yes, leader of an industry. Yeah, like, so also I've never seen myself like famous, but I've always seen myself like as an innovator, like a leader, like a person who's always gonna come up with like amazing ideas and like, you know, like, you know, just like set things in motion. And that's how I've always seen myself, a pioneer, like you said. Yeah.
Good. How did Real Housewives of Durban come about?
So it came about where I think they were looking for cast members in Durban, and a lot of people were very much like very shy and very like closed off, but they needed people who were open to doing it. And when it came and when it landed on my lap, it landed in a sense of we're looking for like women who are pioneers, you know, like women who are driving things, who are making things happen in their businesses and so forth. So when it came and I read it in that way, I was like, oh my gosh, look at me go global. Like, you know, look at my products go global. Look at my eventing company, my flower business. Oh my gosh, like that's what jumped up at me. And that's why I took the role. It was more of my business venture and objectives.
Okay. So they proposed, or they wanted you to come onto a show which is called Real Housewives of Durban, but actually what they wanted is women that were very independent and successful in their own right, not necessarily housewives. Is that right?
Yeah, like, so I think the name of the show started like that, but, you know, as a franchise. But I don't necessarily think they're looking for, yes, you may be a housewife as well, and you must be like a rich one at that. You can't just be a broke as housewife.
No, otherwise that might be a good show though. Broke ass housewives.
You know, or you must be like a woman who's making things happen, you know. So you don't necessarily have to be married, man, there must be something spicy about you though, you know. You can't also just be
attention
like,
grabbing.
Yes, there must be something about you. And I think like with me, like I said to you, like I've always been that child, like all my life, where there is something there, you know. And I think also, like with me, what interested them more was like a Kgomotso in KZN. what Tswana person lives in KZN? Like, what are you doing amongst the Zulu people as
Yes.
a Tswana person? But I didn't know that by then. Like, for me, I'm not a tribalistic person. Where I come from, like my family, we're very kind of Western and laid back. So other people are very staunch in their cultures.
And their beliefs, yeah?
Yeah, and it's something that, like I never saw it coming. But that was where I was needed, I think.
Yeah?
That was the interesting part, spec for them.
Very interesting. So that it was that different flavor.
Yeah,
A different way of looking at things.
Yeah.
A different mindset, different culture. Was being on the show what you expected?
No, it wasn't. I wish, like, every time when I look back, I wish they could have said, okay, guys, we're gonna have like 3 episodes where we just doing a dry run, Let's do a dry run. Let's show you guys what it's gonna be like, and you decide if you want to be in it or not in it.
Okay.
Yeah, like,
Okay.
it wasn't what I expected.
How so? What was different about it that
I
took
think
you off guard?
I think you think more when you watch it, because it was just one of my like guilt pleasure kind of watching.
Yes.
Like watching those episodes, and sure, I used to laugh. I used to
Yes.
find it, like I used to think it's so much comedy. Like for me, I would never even take whatever those women say or whatever is bitchiness or whatever. I like think it's the most funniest thing, and I'd sit there and I'd watch and I'd laugh. So I think for me, I thought it was more like things are happening on a go, like, more like on a real time. But when you are filming it, you actually realize it's not really real time, because you can arrive and you can wait for hours and hours and hours before you film, but there is actually a scene that's already happening,
Yes.
So depending on what kind of a person you are in terms of time, in terms of patience, in terms of waiting, by the time you get in there, you might be already like, and your face may be looking a different way, where you are so bored and like so angry or so hungry, because you thought, I'm going to shoot, leave, go eat. Or, there's a lot of
Logistics.
dynamics and that can change the whole thing for you. It's a hurry up and wait kind of vibes. Like a lot of times it's a hurry up and wait. And I just realized, like that like living in a Barbie doll, or where you are always made up, where you are always looking, like great, like head to toe. Like, no, man, it's just not me.
So, in your opinion, do you think the Real Housewives of Durban, do you think it's an appropriate and constructive representation of what women should aspire to in South Africa?
I think there's moments.
Okay.
There's a lot of the cast members, they are successful businesswomen in their own rights, whether they are being showcased in that manner or not, that's like a different debate on its own. But like, I definitely think that they are very successful on their own. They go-getters, very smart, and so it depends how you're looking at it. Like, like I'm saying, when I used to watch it, I would never look at it I look at it as a comedy.
Yes.
A show full of comedy.
Yeah.
There are moments which I definitely think are not for what like young children can look up to. There's lots of those moments where I'm just like, no, this, how this whole thing was portrayed, or like how it was showcased. Yes, it happened because it got caught on camera. You can't deny that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It happened, but there were obviously underlying things that will cause a scene to go a certain way.
Yes.
And I always feel like the younger generation must be very cognizant of the fact that what they see there is not always what is happening. It is called reality show, but like, it's not that
It's
much
not.
real. Yes, what plays is real, but there are things that are set up for it to play that way.
Yes. Context is everything.
Yes, like there are things that are set up for it to play that way. And I mean, there's directors, there's producers, there's the franchise. They know what they're looking for, and these people it's their bread and butter. They know how they're going to get it out of you. It's all about viewership.
Yes.
It's not about you as a cast member. It's not about you. You can be like as successful as you want to be as the First Lady, Michelle Obama, But if you even caught you out of character for like a snippet, that's what they want, I think.
Really? Do you think that you were represented fairly as Kgomotso?
I think I was represented as their objective and their storyline, and they will showcase that. Does it tick my object? Like as any other business, you're a business person, I'm a business person. I would always say, okay, what's my objectives? Like to selling this thing.
Yes.
What is going to make like viewers jump up and down? What is going to make me money?
Yes.
And I will tick those. So how they showcased me was they tick boxes playing there. So I would never say, how you see me on on Real Housewives is like me or whatever. Or no, like you're only seeing a snippet of like a bigger picture of what might have transpired, and unfortunately that's how like then the public form opinions or about people, etc., but that's the game, that's the entertainment world.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Did you have a full understanding of what you were signing up for in terms of the response that you might get on social media and the traction that the show got?
I think that when anyone starts something exciting, especially because, like, I mean, if you're going to be on TV or whatever, that's exciting. Hey, how many people can get an opportunity to be on a global platform? Not a lot. And I say global because, like, our show actually did showcase in the US.
Did it really?
Yes, it did.
Wow.
Season 1 did, yeah. So not everyone gets that opportunity. It's exciting. And I think when you start anything exciting, you always, this is me. I will always look at the positives before I even look at the negatives. And even if the negatives are there, I'll always be like, oh yeah, but I'll do this and I'll do that, to balance it off and stuff. So yeah, man.
What was the response like on social media?
It was very, like, I think at the beginning it was like, oh no, like, KG is so boring, like, where do they get her? Who is she? That type of thing. And then it goes to where you get more like TV time, and then it's like, oh my God, she's such a bitch, and whatever. Oh my God, she's such a classist. She looks down on people. Like, for example, oh man, no, that. So it moves from, and then it will move from that to everyone loving you, and then from them loving you to hating you. So it's never the same. It's like this. It's just
a roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster. So I always say, if you are in the limelight, if you are in the entertainment industry where people will always have an opinion about you, you have to love the bad and the good. And but unfortunately, as human beings, you'll always see the negative more than the positives, you know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like so my answer has changed and has evolved over the years, like as time has passed, where I think closer to the time I could only see the negative. And then you go out there and you realize, hey, hold on, actually people love me, or like, you know. So it like changes. But one thing for sure, you must know the love equals the hate. So as the love comes, the hate also comes. You can't even, like, you can't base your life on that. Like, it can't fulfill you.
No.
No, it should never ever.
From people that you've never met, and who don't know you, apart from how you've been portrayed in 10-second clip here, a 2-minute segment there.
Yeah, but I mean, also it's so easy to say that up until it's actually happening. You know, you want to go there, you want to like read. So it becomes like a whole new learning thing that you need to learn.
How did you navigate through that roller coaster in retrospect? Because during the time you said you felt a bit differently as it was happening versus now that you've had time to reflect on it a couple of years later.
Like I'm saying, like it was so different, like it was mixed feelings all the time. So when it was good, you feel good, you know, like, oh yeah, like, you know, all this love. And then immediately when you read a lot of the negative parts, then it's soul breaking, you know, like I don't care who says, oh no, I don't care about those things. Child, please. Like, don't even lie. Like, do not lie. It's not nice. Like, I don't think anyone like just goes, oh yeah, I'm so used to it. I've built a thick skin. No. Like, it's you must just not go there. You must just not read about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, just stay away from the platforms that say negative things, and focus more on the positive stuff. Yeah. So, but like if you're gonna go in there looking and reading, you are going to get cut.
I read in my research and prep for this that you switched off all social media at one stage.
I did.
Just to try and take a step back.
Yes, yeah. It was
get back to normality.
It was It was heightened when one of the cast members was like introducing a product which she didn't know anything about, right? And prior to that, I'd gone because I realized that she didn't know her product, and I went with good intentions to try and say, you need to do this, do that, so that the event can be a success.
Yes.
You know, and
which was one of your jobs, right?
Yeah. You don't have to embarrass yourself, like. So anyway, it wasn't perceived well. That goes back to our, that question you asked me about leaving people feeling good and, like just leaving them with something positive or whatever.
Yes.
So there I was trying to do something great, but it got totally misread, and it got read as she thinks she knows everything, you know, like, oh, she thinks she's Miss Goody Two Shoes and blah, blah, blah. Her intentions were never, ever right. Going to her to tell her that she needs to do 1, 2, or 3. And over and above that, the very same person threw me under the bus, like, during, like, then the diary session where it was like, yeah, like, this chick actually, she disrespects me, like, that kind of vibe.
Yeah. So,
and then it went on to being, we don't support women. Like, we don't support women. We like sort of when a woman is down, we trample more on them. Like, we kick at dogs when they are down, like that kind of vibe, which was never ever true. So
is that people speaking about the Housewives in general? Like
no,
as a
no,
collective,
no, no.
or just directly to you?
It was that, because remember, like I said, there's so many episodes. So there can be an episode where the heat comes, like the hate comes, like hectically.
Was it for some context, the wine episode?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I watched the first season, so I'm just trying to get the
from
context.
That.
Okay.
So that's when I switched off.
Really? Did it get bad?
Yeah, because then it comes down to fans now. Like it really comes down. So if you are a diehard fan, like of that person or whatever, you going to attack the person who's like, who's come after your brothel or your... Yes, yeah. So then I started getting like really ugly mail, like really ugly mail and like this and that. So then I literally switched off. I put my account on being private, no messages from people that I don't know, etc., just to like protect that space. But like I said, then it goes away. And then it becomes a little bit quieter because, South Africans, they forget very quickly, hey?
They do.
Like, even that person that sent you such a bad, like now I've got so many people that I've restricted on my social profile. But like you'll find the very same person who was saying such horrible things, they come back and they're writing you this love letter and like how amazing you are. And you're like, the other day you were hating me.
Yeah.
Today, but you can see it because you've restricted them.
Yes.
It's either some I blocked, some I just restricted.
Yeah.
It just depends like how really rude you were.
Yes. But it's like you say, it's easier to say from the outside to say, oh, just take it with a pinch of salt or whatever. But it must be incredibly frustrating when your experience and what was reality off air, when the cameras were off, is completely different to what gets put out there to Mzansi. And then you have this vacuum where there's so much hate that goes on, and it's not in line with actually what really happened in reality. It must be very frustrating.
Extremely. It's like I said, it's like literally soul breaking. It's like, what? And all of that is also just to fuel whatever is going to come up. Because remember, all this is happening before you doing reunions.
Yes.
Before you finished maybe shooting sometimes, So it's just to fuel up and like make you even more angry and make you this and like makes you want to go and fight that person and confront them and this and that. And it's exhausting. Like, to be honest with you, it's like, it's not worth it. Like, please, man, you can never pay me enough money for that kind of garbage.
Yeah. You, in an article, in an interview that I read about you, you questioned how you contributed to society through the show, or how much you had contributed. Why did you feel that there wasn't the contribution that you'd hoped for going in?
I'm a person of purpose, like everything that I do has got to align with a certain purpose in my life. Like I don't just like wake up and just be like, okay, now what can I do? Like, so I just felt when I looked at the whole thing and when it was finished and when I had so many followers, and then I was just like, okay, so now what? Like, so you've got followers, you've had the show that you, according to you, like maybe for some people there were snippets which were encouraging and which were perhaps when I was launching my own businesses, my new business and stuff, maybe there were some of those, but I think they were so minute, like they were overshadowed by a lot of toxicness that was, the most of what evolved in that show. And I sit and I'm like, so if someone were to watch this show, would they see me as serving a purpose? Like, would they see me as a woman, as a pioneer that I've always seen myself out to be? And it was very simple. No, like they would never. And also like then for me, it was like, okay, then I have so many followers. Oh yeah, you can influence a product, you can influence this, you can, but like, are you touching lives? Like, are you changing people's lives? Are you are you creating a positive impact? Like, what are you doing? Like,
Legacy.
yeah, and then as you're moving along, then you realize, no, actually, the people that are also following couldn't be bothered about those things. Like, because, you would have different things that you post, right?
Yes.
I'm an intentional person, so I will never just, today I'm posting, I don't know, like me driving this fancy car or doing that. Like, for what? For who? Like, unless if I'm showcasing a certain lifestyle and I said, okay, today I'm influencing this brand, that brand is luxury, is this, is that. So I will put that,
Yes.
So I'm so intentional, but you find like every single time you will post something that is like encouraging, that is full of purpose, and that is just like, this is what I want you guys to hear and to, you will have 5 likes. You
Yeah.
will have 0 engagement. People are not interested. That's the society we live in today. Put something where you are somewhere in Paris, you are living your fine life, you
Yeah.
are on a yacht and you're looking amazing. You will have 1,000 comments. Like, you don't even have to say anything. I don't need to influence you to live a purposeful life. Nothing. I just need to put YOLO.
Yes.
You only live once. Hey, like, then you will see people commenting. And so, like, for me, Clint, it's like, as a society, because everyone is on social media, whether you like it or not, but that is the most influential platform
In the world.
globally. Like, there's nothing we can do. So what do we do? What do we do? Do you still carry on posting about purpose and this and that while there's no engagement? Are you happy to do that? Are you happy that you will have had 5 engagements? Are you happy that at least maybe one of those 5 people will work out feeling positive? So I think it goes back to now you.
Yeah.
If it fulfills you and you are happy with that, great.
Yes.
So it's a fine line that we are finding ourselves in as modern society as to what is it that we're going to share now? Like, what is it because at the end of the day, those social media platforms, they need engagement.
They do. And the algorithms, they're going to put you at the forefront. They're going to get you more engagement
Yes.
if you get more likes, more
Yeah.
whatever. So that it's that positive feedback loop where you post a nice picture of you at the Four Seasons and, that gets whatever, 2,000 likes. And then, so then KG goes up and then you get more interactions, more views on your stories.
Yeah.
It's like this big, like...
Yeah. But post the motivational one, do you think they're interested?
No.
They're not.
No.
Sadly, they're not. So what do we do?
So let's bring it back to purpose then.
Yeah.
So you've got so what is your purpose? Let's use the context of social media. You've gathered, I think it's about 115,000 followers that you've got on Insta, more or less at the moment.
Yeah, 108. Yeah.
108,
Yeah.
okay. So what is your purpose for having that Instagram account? What are you trying to achieve? What do you want to achieve with that following that you have?
Yeah. So initially, I was always one of those people that, are just like, I want to spew things of positivity, like things that, the younger generation can look up to and they can take with them and, it can leave them a better person. But to be honest with you, as I navigated, I realized that they're not interested. Leave a mark on the little people that are your people, that are around you. I mean, it sounds sad, right? Like as in, it sounds selfish, like where you are like, oh, okay, so you just concerned about your little people, like
Yeah.
circle. So like Clinton, it's a very debatable issue, which I also find we've lost as a society. We don't know how to debate these things anymore.
Not constructively, anyway.
Yeah, not
Because if you and I, we come from completely different backgrounds, opposite ends of the country, and different upbringings, but it's okay for you and I to disagree on some things. I'm sure there's things that I disagree with you on and you with me, just like Lisa and I might have disagreements about something. But it doesn't mean that now I'm a bad person or you're a bad person.
Yeah.
It's okay that we can disagree on stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I think if you're not, and this is the problem with woke culture, is it's on the assumption that if I don't agree with you, then I'm automatically become the enemy, and then I'm part of the problem. Where that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
And that's how you move forward, is you have discussions, and I hear about what you have to say,
Yes.
and you feel like you can share your experiences with me without me then demonizing you, and vice versa. And then I say, oh wow, actually what KG said actually makes sense. I think I would actually do the same thing if I was in her position.
Yeah.
And then hopefully then when the shoe's on the other foot, you might feel the same way. That's how we break down barriers, not by going to war with each other in the comments section of an Instagram feed.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I completely agree with you. You going back to then the final episode of Real Housewives, when they do the discussion of the season, you didn't appear in that discussion, if I'm not mistaken. You weren't. What is it called?
What is it? Like where they go at each other now. Like, what is it called again? You see how little I even put this thing
so
on
they
my
go and
radar.
they
It's
like
called,
recap. They like recap the season.
What's it called again, Lisa? What's it called? It's called a. Gosh,
a something.
Reunion.
Reunion. That's it. I was like revival.
Revival.
I was like, no, that's not it. The reunion. There you go.
You see how much.
So you went on the reunion, right? We got there eventually.
Yeah.
Was there a reason for that? And then secondly, why did you decide to leave the show?
You know what? Like, I didn't go to the reunion because I think also we shot, just to give you context, like, we shot at a time where there was still like COVID was like at a hype, you know? It was very much there. Like, I mean, I think just when they opened and we still had like hectic restrictions, that's when we were shooting, and a lot of times we even had to use masks and stuff.
I saw that, yeah.
And I think like I lost quite a few like close people during that time, like, you know, even going into that reunion. And a lot had also been happening so much with the show where I was very much like, no man, you know, I really can't be part of this reunion because number one, that like, you know, personal reasons of like a lot of death in my family, and I like being in spaces where I feel respected.
Yes.
You know, like, so, and if you don't respect me once, twice, okay, I'll still, because I'm a person of like commitment. If I've committed, I will still go through, you know. But if you ultimately show me that, you know, you actually don't respect me, you don't respect my family, you are literally out there now just only for a show, which, it's your business, and I respect that, you know, but I can then also choose the spaces that if we're not going to respect each other, I don't need to be a part of that, you know. If you are going to put me in a position where you are tribalistic, and your show actually goes and promotes tribalism. No, that's not a seat that I sit. That's not a table that I get to sit on.
Yeah.
I literally exclude myself. So I think maybe had I not also been a period where there were some family members that had passed on, maybe I would have overlooked this value of mine and gone and wanted to fight that narrative,
Yes.
you know, of like, no, but because of the losses and how I realized, you know, actually life is short, you know. I don't even know if like next month, tomorrow, my life is guaranteed, if I'm still going to be healthy, so like, why am I even going to put myself in a position of people who have shown me who they are? Because now they've shown me who they are. How are they going to even treat me at the reunion if you allow tribalism? Tribalism, by the way, is exactly like racism.
Yes.
So if it's just black on black. So if you are a black person, Indian person, colored person, whatever, and you feel strongly about racism, what makes you think that it's not equivalent to tribalism? It's so equivalent, because at the end of the show, I was actually so disgusted. Like, honestly speaking, like, I remember watching that episode and I was just like, oh my goodness, how could even DSTV, like, I'm sorry to even have to bring up a brand, I don't know if we are allowed or whatever, but for me, in any case, they did go and edit it, by the way, and removed a bit of the tribalism part. But when I saw it, I was like, how do they even agree to showcase this? So for me, it wasn't even the people that were saying it. It was, how do you allow this to go on air?
Yeah.
Because like they were basically saying, if you are not like sort of like, I'm not Zulu. Like, so this whole thing was a build up. They first said, we're not African. Like, if you not Zulu, you're not African. So it was a build up where
I
the
remember
girls,
that, yeah.
yes, like, if you are not Zulu or like we're not African, like, so I always was interested in like, please define what you are saying. We are not African because we're not Zulu, or like, what are you saying? And then it escalated where I then sat on the table and said to them, "Angile sabi," like, you know, like I said it in Zulu, like, but I was just merely saying I'm not scared of them, like, because there was a debate happening, and so the two ladies wanted to come for me, like, but both of them at the same time, like, you know, but in an argument, like,
Yes.
as in an argument.
Yeah.
So I said to them, you know what, Angile sabi, like, as in, I'm not scared of you, one of you, or come as a group, like, I'll take both of you on. So then they thought, apparently, when you say Angele Sabi to a Zulu person, you are declaring war, which I didn't even know. Like,
Yeah.
where do I fit in war zones? Like, you know, so they were just like, yo, it sparked something in them, you know. And then after that episode, they went saying, does she even know when she says that to a Zulu person, what it means? Oh, by the way, what is she even? Like, you know, oh, asimuntu lo, you know, and then asimuntu means directly translated into English, she's not a person. So apparently Zulu people, they would say asimuntu, but apparently it says, if they say asimuntu, it just means you are not Zulu, you know?
Okay.
But then they further said, oh, so what do you mean if you say asimuntu, she's Tswana, like, you know? And then it's like, whatever, like Tswana, whatever. But like, you know, that whole thing was so disgusting to really now realize that these girls always had a problem with me because I wasn't Zulu, but yet I wasn't even aware of it. And to the point where they went further and I'm sure they cut off a whole lot of nonsense they said. I don't think they showcased everything because it is an edited scene anyway. So I think they showed a clip that they thought, okay, this didn't go too deep in.
Yes.
But like for me, it was all there, like, and I was just like, the objective was crap. If you are a director, you don't do this. Maybe it's your story. Maybe in your place of work, you've always wanted to tell the story of like how the Zulu people are towards other like ethnic groups, but don't do it using me.
Yes.
Why are you going to subject me to tribalism? And also, for me, it was like, this is a national show. It's not a show about like KZN Zulus, like it's a national show. And how are the other Tswana people supposed to feel? Because now they're not only talking about me, they now put us like in a tribe.
Yeah.
And said Tswana people are not people.
There's something about tribalism that it cuts deep. It cuts to the bone when you feel, because it's exactly that, you're made to feel inhuman, and it's probably one of the deepest things that you can do is to undermine people and to make people feel like they don't matter. It's one thing disagreeing with somebody, but it's another thing to show a complete and utter disregard for them being there and their being and their background. And there's something that's so raw about that people don't forget that very easily if you're made to feel that way. And it's something we continue to have to be very cognizant of in South Africa, because there's a lot of things that happen where people say things that are I think a lot of the time it's unintentional, but it's ignorant.
It's very ignorant, and like you're saying, it's exactly like apartheid. It's exactly like that. So if you are a black person and you've got a problem with apartheid, you must also be cognizant of the fact that you can't be tribal, because that tribal mentality, it's exactly like that. But I mean, you must also remember with apartheid, that's exactly the intention. It was meant to segregate people, but like segregation even went more into like us as black people, like, as the Sothos will live there, the Tswanas will live there, the Xhosas will live there, So you never became like one unit.
Yeah.
If I may say so.
Yeah, it was that was part of the intention of it, is to create that separation.
Yes. So like when you are still battling with that as a South African, with apartheid as a South African, and then you find like another black South African who's now going to like, put their tribalism in your space. And furthermore, a show as big and a franchise as big like this, for them to think like it's okay to showcase that, it doesn't score any points for anybody. Like, so I just thought to myself, this is not the space for me. It's not like, no, like, I don't know. So in any case, but I did go on season 2, just like as a friend, just to suss out, because they still sort of like wanted me to come back. And I remember that day when I was there was like a Halloween party that I was invited to. And I just, like, something was just off. Like, my soul just couldn't connect with any of the, I'm a very soulful person, like, but like, it just didn't connect. So I just sat there, like, very bored. And then I just thought, maybe not.
There's a wonderful saying from Jim Carrey. I've actually referenced him in previous episodes, because some of the things he says just like blows my mind. But he says one thing that he could wish for everybody is that they all become rich and famous, so that they realize that that's not the answer.
Yeah.
That's not what's going to make you happy.
No.
That's not what's going to give you purpose. And some people get there faster than others. Some people realize that faster than others. And it seems to me like you figured that out quite quickly when you took a step back after season 1 and you were at that party and you're like, oh, wow, this actually doesn't match up with who I am. This is not this is not what I'm about.
Yeah.
And that's a brave stance to take, because a lot of people don't take that stance. They just keep rolling with the punches, and they just keep being dragged along on a journey that's not theirs. It's somebody else's journey.
Yes.
It's the show's journey, and you just being dragged along.
Yes.
You're not living your purpose.
Yeah, and perhaps other people love that, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sure like other people love being spoken about, you know, they say good or bad publicity apparently, like for some people is all the same, but like for me it's not, you know. And that's one other thing that the show also taught me, like with the many things that it taught me, good and bad or whatever, but like the one thing that I've always say that really was the good that came out of it was like, we must really try not to be judgmental in what people's choices are, you know. So when I also speak about the show, I'm very much cognizant that I must never portray it in a bad light, because someone else might like that. Like, it might be their platform. They may be like, think, oh my God, this is like the best thing ever. And which is great. Like, you know, if that's how you feel, I'm happy for you. Like, you know, it is your path. It is your direction. But unfortunately for me, it's not. And I often remember I used to vocalize it a lot and say, this, oh, no, like not for me. And when I used to be like, not for me. And even the followerships, even the this, the that, not for me. Like not that I don't want followership, I want engagements or whatever, but like, is the quality of like, I mean, if I'm going to have 100 engagements, but like 50 of them are negative, I'll rather have 20 engagement, which is positive, of a positive vibe, you know. But then I used to say that a lot, and like, you know, like be a little bit negative and say it like how I saw it from my perspective. And eventually I thought to myself, you know what, hold on. You might be giving people a bad perception about you, that if something, you see it in a certain light and it doesn't fit in your puzzle, and it doesn't fit like in what you deem to see as, this is the correct way of lifestyle.
Yeah.
Then you think it's wrong for everybody, or like you vocalize it as like, it sounds a little bit too pompous.
Yes.
You know?
I'm with you.
Yeah, so I've learned as well, like when you speak about it, speak about the good parts, but I will not shy away from the parts that were like ugly as well. You know, like the tribalism thing. It's ugly, and I will never shy away from speaking about it, because I feel like I would be shying away from my purpose of like always telling the truth about what I think and take a stand for something which I feel is wrong. Like there's certain things which I will take a stand for, and I will never back off. Never mind what anyone would say. But there's certain things that I'm sure that if I've said it, that's how I see it. Deal.
Yes. What has you excited now? So let's look to the future. What have you got going on now?
I say I live a retired, beautiful life. You know, like so for after Real Housewives, funny enough, I closed down my businesses. I think I just got so angry, like, you know, like, I don't know. I just closed down and I took time off. I took a year off, and then, no, I took 6 months off, and then 6 months became like 7 months, 8 months, and now it's like a year and a half, and I literally I'm not in a service which I used to be in, which was to serve people and like, you know, just make them feel good, like events, flowers, this, that. I do none of that. I'm just like focused on myself and my family. I'm that mom. I don't want to be called a housewife. Like, housewife. There's a connotation.
There's a stigma,
about,
yes.
Yeah, housewife. That I can't accept. Like, so I say I'm retired. I say when people ask me, what do you do now? I'm like, no, I've retired. How many people can say they've retired at 40? So yeah, do the maths. I'm
Yes.
doing good. So so basically I live for like my family. I'm the one now that takes my kids everywhere, like sport, like parties, every single thing that they need. And they are very, very active and very sporty. So thank God. And then when they're at school, I play golf. Yes.
And how's the golf going?
The golf is going great. It's, I think I found, I always find things that like bring life into me, like, that challenge me. That's what I live for. I like things where I'm the master of my own ship, like
I love that.
I write exactly how the story is going to end, not someone else writing my story and deciding, like, the direction it needs to take. I like taking full on. So yeah, like, so I think that's been the story with me in golf. Like, I think after Real Housewives and someone else writing my story and putting it on national TV, I think then I had to quickly find something that was not for anybody else, that I wasn't gonna do something for someone, but like for myself. And I found that with golf, like where I'm just like, where do we want to be with this golf? And I can exactly say, this is where I want to be at golf. This is how I'm going to reach there. No one is going to stop me, and I'm going to do just that, So yeah, like I said, master of my own ship.
There's something so similar about golf and life. To be in charge of your own destiny, and then also to take accountability. You're not going to hit every shot exactly where you want it to go.
Yes.
We all know what that feels like. There's times that you're going to surprise yourself and you're going to hit a golf shot that you thought you were never capable of hitting.
Yeah.
But either way, you have to take the good with the bad. You've got to roll with the punches. And you've got to be in it for the journey rather than being so score-oriented. I think people in golf and in life, and social media is a big problem that contributes to this, is people are very score-oriented. They do things and they sacrifice morals, ethics, do things that are not in line with their purpose because they're score-oriented. They want to get to there at no matter what the cost.
Yeah.
Whereas with golf, you've got to be very process-oriented. You've got to accept the fact that there's going to be times when you don't shoot what you want to shoot.
Yeah.
There's going to be times when you hit a shot that you don't want to hit, but you've got to react. You've got to pivot. So I love that you've taken the significance of what happened in your journey in Real Housewives, and you've then supplemented that with something that is totally within your control, that's empowering. If something is within your control and you have to accept the fact that things are going to go well, then they're not going to go well, but it's always my fault. There's an empowering aspect to it, which by the sounds of things is what's appealing to you.
Very much. And that's always been my life. Like, I'm that person. You see, just like how you described, like, it's within your control. Odwa always calls me a control freak. And I'm like, but it's within limits. Like, it's within, So that's what I like about golf, and that you will be so much in control that no one will ever even call you a control freak. Only the course, maybe.
Yes.
If it could speak back to you.
Yeah.
And what I liked about what you said about keeping up with the scores and the this and that, that whole liner you said, it was so important in that golf, it's all about maturity. Like, so when you start, you are going to want to hit those perfect shots, and you are going to be obsessed with, the points and the scores and the this. And it's amazing like how you journey through all of that. And then you start meeting people who used to be like you. Like, I mean, the other day, I played with this other friend of mine. Oh my God, she was so obsessed with scoring. I was like, really? Like, every single hole, are you going to speak about what we need to score against this team? And I said, please, can you stop it? But in hindsight, I used to be like that.
Yes.
When I started, I used to be so obsessed and focused about scoring and whatnot. And for me, what I appreciate about golf is that you learn to see yourself evolve through people. Like, so as you play with different people, then you see that personality about you that you used to do as an immature golfer. I'm not saying they're immature. Like,
No, I hear you. You come across people who are at different stages
At
of their
different-
golfing journey.
exactly.
And then you might see that person, you'd be like, oh, I was there.
I was there.
And then you might look at somebody who's further down the road than you, and you won't understand it
You
at the
won't-
time.
exactly.
But then fast forward 2 years, and you're like, I
You
get
know,
why that
then-
person was like that then.
Exactly. Then the light switch goes on.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, for me, is the most powerful thing about golf. I mean, just besides the fact that I just really love like hitting like the balls, like,
Yeah.
those golf balls, like besides that. But I think there's so much you learn about yourself, like the patience, like, I remember when I started golfing, I used to fight with Odwa because I used to think, oh my God, he's so slow, like, can we just get to the next hole? Can we, it was like, dude, can you just hit that ball already? Like, but now as I mature into golf, I actually love that because then even I realize, I actually get to spend more time in nature. So as he's still taking his third practice swing or whatever, I'm looking around and I'm enjoying, like the
taking it in.
scenery. I'm taking it in. It's all going slow. Everyone is happy.
Kgomotso, I love how this is, we've taken this full circle now. So we started at the beginning, we've now ended up on something really nice, philosophical with golf and life. And I've really enjoyed chatting to you. It's very insightful. It went in many different ways that I didn't see it going that way, but I thought it went that way for a reason. It was very good. I loved it. So thank you for coming on. Before we go, where can people find you if they want to follow you, if they aren't already following you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Kgomotso_Ndungane. Other platforms, I'm really not active.
So mostly Insta, hey? That's where they can find
Yeah.
all your
just
golf
too much.
content and your lifestyle.
I mean, now there's like @threads or
Yes,
something.
yeah.
@threads. I've got TikTok. Honestly, they all live with my name and surname.
Okay.
But I'm not big on TikTok, eh? Are you big on TikTok?
No, not really. Mostly Insta.
You gotta be a comedian to do those TikTok things. Like a serious comedian.
Yeah. And it's people are, they just spend their whole day scrolling on TikTok, swiping down the whole time. Colossal waste of time, if you ask me. But it's the world we live in, isn't it?
World we live in, yeah.
Kgomotso, thank you very much.
Thank you so
All
much.
the best. Take care, and it's been lovely chatting.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Wait, whoa. Before you go, did you enjoy that episode as much as I did? If you did, please go onto Apple Podcasts or Spotify, whatever medium you're using to listen and watch the show, and click subscribe, leave a comment, leave a rating, follow the show. Every little bit counts. The more people that do that, the more value I can produce to you by getting better guests on the podcast, and then we can all keep growing and learning together. Thanks so much. Have a great day.